really good about where that's trending in regards to the academic portion of our school. We continue to raise the bar and have high expectations for our teachers and our kids in regards to their academics. Fall sports are underway. Mr. Bowen's done a great job. We see participation continue to increase, which is what we want. Research will show you that kids that are involved do better in school. Cross country started, volleyball, football underway. All of those things are starting up. I think even tomorrow night is our first one football game. So it should be a fun game. I've talked about in some of my back to school letters, this is the 50th year of Woodside. So that's really exciting. School started in 1976 as year one. So at the end of this year, we'll be 50 years old. So this is the 50th year. And one thing I like to do every year is kind of a joint lesson or building-wide theme. Our theme this year is your journey, your choices, our legacy. And so we kind of dug in with that with our staff, and what that means as they approach the kids is just you're instilling in them a lifelong legacy, that they're a lifelong lesson, that they're on a journey, right? We're all on a journey, and every choice that we make affects that journey. And then you are a part of something bigger than yourself, as being part of a school and a community that's really values education for a long time. So just we're being intentional about that language. The hope is the kids either leave subconsciously with that life lesson, or maybe even consciously, but be with them. They're thinking about their daily choices and how that affects their journey. So one of the things that I'm doing with the staff for that is passing out legacy pins. They're just little, what do you call that? Lapel pins. Thank you. Lapel was the word that was little lapel pins to recognize staff members that are going above and beyond. Some of our first winners have really appreciated that, and put their names up on the so that's kind of a fun thing that we're doing behind the scenes. Last week we had our for 400. We recognized over 400 graders for all ages at the second semester of the last school year.
We're going to put all of the info in this folder. Maybe a folder for each month. So count the fee in there, and you can just like this. You don't know if you want to see it right now. She, Lindsay, tree for the new ice cream. This week it's on the 22nd Friday, so you can get a box if you fill it up. Take a look. How many spots do you still have available? Well, the 10 spots filled up really fast. Okay. Enough, and that wasn't enough, so I added 2 more. Okay. There's 2 more spots. So just drop off a box. They'll put it in the freezer, and then it'll be available for the teachers on Friday during the bus day. Let's see. And last but not least, we have Warrior Invitational. And that's the one we were just talking about, the golf outing. Nick, did you want to add anything more? I think we've already touched on it. Good to go? Yeah. Okay. Any questions, or does anybody want to say about
loads of people coming in and being this here? Dr. Clark could talk about this a little bit more, but we know the golf outings for specifically athletic funds, but one of the things I always try and tell people is that the way Saks does it, a lot of people coming in don't know, is that all of the concession money from all athletics across the district is actually run by the music boosters. So the only way that the athletic department can raise funds is through the admission fees, and concessions is kind of where they make money, and so they pool it all. So from Woodside Summit and Homestead. And then they actually use that money to sponsor the fine arts. So color guard, so the marching band, my daughter was on dance team. So all of the dance teams, all of their fees for their competitions were paid for through that. So while it goes to athletics, it's really because the way Saks does it, they have a collaboration between the fine arts and the athletics department. So by supporting athletics, you're also supporting the fine arts, because that's, the big, I know, one of the music boosters, somebody I know, they would make $15,000, $20,000 in concessions from each home football game. Whereas Woodside they only get money from their admissions to their home events, which is basically nothing. It's pretty much nothing. So some of the big, so because of the way Saks does it, which is, I think, phenomenal. I don't even know any other district that does that. I don't think any other district would, athletics would give up money to fund color guard and jazz band and, all the other things, which is pretty amazing. So, if people would be like, oh, my kid doesn't do athletics. If your kid is in basically any activity, really, the way they do it, they kind of spread the love. And the athletic department here has some things that they could use.
And some of the feedback off that, some of the major items that we're needing, we're categorizing them as athletic, but we're talking about things that all the kids will benefit from. One of the main examples of that is we use the sound system in our gym. When we have pep rallies, Tim does the best job of being an MC. Mr. Beaumont is Mr. Event, but you can barely understand it because our sound system now over 20 years old, has some use, has some dust collected. It's really hard to hear and understand what's going on anytime we have an assembly. So yeah, that's an athletic space, but that's also a fee, or that's also a cost that somebody like Central Maintenance is going to take a look at and be like, well, sorry, we've got higher priorities like carpet and paint. Totally understandable, right? But when you're talking about the inability to communicate clearly in our conversations, things like award ceremonies at the end of the year, graduation, we could really benefit from that. So those types of big purchase items is kind of why we felt like athletics was a good way to advertise it. But as Marcia said, there's many more ways if your kid's not an athlete or in athletics right now, that will benefit everyone.
Yeah, those pep rallies are not just for the athletes.
Right.
I don't know what I mean. Beaumont is the hype guy. If your kid's in an academic contest, they get hyped for everybody at those things, which is amazing. So
it's just hard to hear. That's
great.
One of our things.
Could we kind of talk about this in the communication? And then because I know who about any of this, so that's really amazing, right? But then the other thing is, if you're not a golfer like myself, is there some way to be involved? Is the silent auction online, or so that we can still donate to the cause without being a golfer?
That's a great question. Yes, you do not need to be, or no, you do not need to be a golfer to participate. You can volunteer if you want to be there that day. You can also, you can just go in and sponsor a hole. You could just give money towards these funds directly. So there is a variety of ways, and that's all on the webpage. I can send it directly to you, or I can.
No, I just didn't actually be there.
No,
My bad.
No, you're
I felt
fine.
like with all the communications,
No.
usually like I see golf outing, I'm like,
Fair point.
so that's why I'm like, maybe actually having some communication to like people that aren't in the athletic or that are golfers, like, getting out some creative wording.
But I have any minutes too that might open up, will also give you an opportunity to donate like soda or water or just those kinds of things that we're providing. So that,
And to piggyback off of that, off of what Marcia said, every year as we do raise money, we do try to support special interests of the school. So usually over the summer, we meet with Dr. Clark and say, "Okay, what are your big asks?" So you could ask for something for the school, what are they? And sometimes they're big, and sometimes they're as small as like maybe coolers and things like that. So as we're going throughout the year and we're raising things, or raising money, things like 5K or other events, that money is all pooled, and then we try to support those asks as much as we can. So, and if you ever have any questions about where any of that is going, feel free to ask. And Sarah and Brian do a great job of being very transparent in all of the treasury reports and budget, things like that. So, any other questions about committees? We did put a committee interest form here in case you don't want to have to go back and scan a form or fill something out. If you just want to jot your name down and give some interest in a specific committee or just being involved and maybe having us look here, just feel free to jot your name down and we can get you in contact with the right people. Next up, I think it's you. So your report and everything is in this folder with the QR code.
Yes, if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to Google Drive, and I think we'll just start with month end, July 1st. So there should be 2 budget items in there. There should be the July month end report, and then there should be the proposed budget. So we'll start with the July one, because that one will go quickly. I'll get you
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna clap.
So, as you can imagine, in July, there usually aren't a lot of transactions, just because summer events going on, students are here. One of the big checks that came through is Kroger. So if you haven't already linked your Kroger card to send funds to Woodside, go ahead and do that, because that's a big money maker for us. So we bring in about $2,000 every year just from Kroger donating funds from whatever you buy. That's an easy way to give money, and once you do it, you kind of forget about it, and Kroger just sends us the check, so it's great. So that one, we got a $169 check. That was a big piece of income. A big purchase that we made, which Dr. Clark already mentioned, was refurbishing the sign outline. So if you see that $2,200, that's what that was from. So technically, that was approved for last year. It will show up on this year's fiscal year. So if that throws you off, all you ask questions. But that was the big purchase. So if you look at the end, it shows that, oh no, we were, $1,200 behind this month. It's just from our purchases made for the sign. We did bring in money, like I said, from Kroger, but no other real fundraisers that will go directly to that. We did bring in $1,000 for the water invitational bill. And again, that money is being pulled aside. It's separated specifically for the athletics departments that will be included with our money for the other events that will be sponsored. So any questions on July event? All right, now let's pull up the proposed budget, because that's where I'm assuming there will be more.
so cool.
All of these.
Yes, it is very small, but we can talk about it. So on the left is the proposed budget. This is what we anticipate we'll be bringing in and anticipate we'll be spending. On the right, it shows what we budgeted or what Brian specifically budgeted last year and what we actually spent. So as you can see, Everybody Eats brought in about $1,800. So it's a very profitable fundraiser, very easy fundraiser. So all we have to do is promote it and go buy food from whatever the restaurant is, and they write us a check. So I have a conservative estimate on that. I assume it will be more than $1,100, but it's nice to kind of underestimate and over-deliver. The food trucks, so just Chick-fil-A specifically, Brian is going to be selling at more events this year, so we anticipate bringing in more money. I think from what I've gathered, we don't do pre-orders, so there is a little bit of a gamble that you have to pre-purchase the sandwiches and then sell. So we want to make sure we promote those so that we don't overbuy and then don't make as much profit as we possibly could. So again, it probably make more than $4,200 on the Chick-fil-A, but that's kind of the estimate. And then you'll see in the expenses when we get down there, we make about 30% profit on whatever we purchase. So yeah. It will vary. It won't be a dead-on number. Registration day donations. I have $1,000 in there, but I do know that the lowest was $1,479. Once I got in the online gift letter purchases, and then people who signed up and went to the line for registration to donate. So close to $1,500 for that. So a little bit less than last year. And they said part of that is just because we're not paying as many fees anymore. So not as many people are going to the line and writing up the checks. So it's down a little bit from last year. The dances, if you people who are volunteering for those, that's a big deal because they brought in about $3,000 last year. So I expect that they'll be just as profitable as the year before. The Invitational, we right now have $9,000 that is going to be donated towards the Invitational, and hopefully it will be. That's the goal. All right, my plug for the Warrior 5K. So it has brought in about $6,000 the last few years. So if we don't have a sponsor for the Warrior 5K, that's a big chunk of it. Really did not have to support the teachers and give towards other events. So I did put a conservative estimate in there because we were down a little bit this last year from where I had been in previous years, not significantly, it was down a little bit. So we brought in about $6,000. I think the year before it was about $7,000. So if we can get more runners to sign up, I think we will be good to go. But Brian was a good one to talk to about the Warrior 5K. He did a lot with it last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, they have several people who are sponsoring it or helping with it already, right?
Just not like volunteers helping out?
Correct. Like I think you said unions.
I think there's quite a few that help. Nobody wants to do like a chair per se. So yeah, I would maybe chair it. But I would need a lot of, I would need support. we have a fun run that we did on the elementary school level that I did 3 years in a row. Because, once you say yes, you just always do it.
Forever, right?
Forever. So, my friend was like, Sally, you should not do your PTO yet. No, you should just wait a minute. And I'm like, well, it's not until the spring. It's true. Who did it last year? Brian?
Yeah, begrudgingly, I did it last year. What happened was that we had chairs and then it fell apart and then, let's just say.
I would be happy to help or co-chair it. I want to great. Oh, fantastic.
I think, like Mr. mentioned, a lot of what's just needed is just kind of someone kind of keep what's already there together and just making sure it's moving forward at early time, so it's not like, you know, like we have to do together. So, but my sister, whose kids are now out of here, she's kind of like the race day coordinator, I'll make sure she's going.
We got it.
She also does
Very
the
knowledgeable.
elementary
She's,
stuff.
okay. She's helped out for at least the last 4 years,
Well,
right?
her kids have been here, but that's just. But, yeah, so, yeah. But, you know, you're worried about like, I'm gonna run her not a 5J person. It sounds like you have a lot of experience, but she's willing to help there. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of,
I'm more
We
of
gotta
a, I'm
say,
more
yeah.
of a, I'm not like a runner, so I don't know like do the timing or anything, but I have people that did
yeah,
that.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
got,
So
we got
we
an
have-
established relationship with a good timer. We got an
Okay.
established relationship with like a good DJ. Honestly, the event is awesome. It's just a matter of like getting more people there. I'm a washed up runner myself. I've run hundreds of road races, and I think like the quality of the snacks and the race and the timing and the event and the atmosphere is like top notch. It's just a matter of needing more people.
The more opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, and I know, so when we did it, we did, like, we did our funding specifically, we didn't outdoor run at our elementary school. So that's what almost the funding went to. So we had a goal, and we had sponsors for the event, right? But I'll pick whoever did it last year. So we had sponsors, and we made different level sponsorship levels, right? So they got different things. Okay, sounds similar, right?
Yeah, I know there was a lot of discussion after this one on if we're gonna modify how we do it, if we're gonna have other schools involved to help promote it, because the promotion did, we started promoting, I think, in like February, and the race was in May. So we're kind of a little bit behind on the ball on that. So I think there was discussions of, we don't get enough people to chair it, and we don't have, you know, a good idea if it's gonna do well, if it's gonna fall apart, then should we even have it? So if we have chairs, that's great, but the other question is, do we still want to pursue the route of getting other help from other schools or?
We did set a date of Saturday, May 16th. It is a little flexible, if you guys need it. Is that correct? And after, that's like Mother's Day weekend, right? She was going to share. It's after.
I know we talked about reaching out to the elementary schools, especially like the ones feeding at the Woodside, to make it kind of, maybe have like a fun run portion for them too. That might
Yeah, we
reach
had
more
that.
people.
We had that, and I sent
Right.
it out, I gathered the names of all the run club coaches at the elementary. And to my knowledge, they all distributed the handout. I even sent it to non-Woodside schools, like Haverhill and Lafayette Meadows, because it's another opportunity for the kids to, you know, hey, they're maybe just showing improvement in their last race, and your kid's still excited about running. Here's another opportunity to run fun run. You know, it's like 5, 10 hours.
Elementary school, all of them have the running club. And then, so I think we talked about this last year, like, so there's races all throughout, like, and so maybe it would be promoted as like an additional race as part of their like running club circuit, because they would get it hundreds and hundreds of kids, and like, I've been kids from like Carroll and Columbia City and stuff like that. So if it could be promoted, like, as an extra.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
It's
And
like
that's-
right at the beginning, when you say run club.
Yes.
It would just list the big run, it would be the big run, and all run.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
It
it would be like
wasn't
a
like-
mile run.
Was it a mile?
Yeah, it was an add-on, exactly.
And then we would wanna, like, that would wanna be on the run club, like, schedule for the year. And then, so that would probably bring in like lots of kids and then their parents too.
We could probably connect, and I can give you what we did, and then obviously if it evolves from there, then that's, at least you have what we did before.
But anyway, that was just an idea of like getting more.
Cat, yeah, okay, Natalie. Okay. And then we'll sort of touch base with you.
I know the owner of PTC Sports, I don't know if they were involved in it last year, but they have a huge run club as well. So that would be huge for us to kind of collaborate and, yeah. I'll talk to him about it. Thank you both.
And while we're already kind of, I call it swirling, while we're already swirling, anytime we have an event like this, we collaborate a lot with the Key Club at the high school, and they're able to send us great volunteers, and we can use, our kids here love seeing those big kids, and, yeah, it's a really nice partnership that we have, and there are a couple other organizations over there that help us as well. So if you're helping with something and you're feeling overwhelmed by that, just know that that's a good resource that we can always have. Sorry, we really.
No, you're fine. I fixed it that way. That's okay. The only other thing I'm gonna hit on in the income that they, I think we used this last year was the raffles.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do an 8th grade graduation raffle, and we keep half the proceeds, well, we keep all the proceeds from the 8th grade graduation raffle. But for the band concert raffle tickets to get front seats, we keep half the money and we give half the money to, the band, just for different funds here, same with choir. So, and for the musical. So that's really up to them to promote. It's very easy on our end because we just set up the gift letter link and we do a raffle, and it was very profitable actually. So hopefully that will continue, and tell your friends to sign up for it.
And do the 8th grade one, because it's for no other reason. Sorry.
Just being
The
honest.
parking for graduation.
You have to cross the street at the chapel.
That's my little part for that.
I do not plan to run through all the expenses. The only one I was going to focus on, which I kind of mentioned already, the principal fund is going to include some of last year's purchases. So, the coolers, the TV, the signs. So it's going to look like we're spending much more than we actually are. So, while the amount says $4,000, it will most likely be over that. Ours will be $7,000. Just as a heads up, so it's not that.
Keep this place looking nice.
So it may be misleading in that direction. And then the rest really, the big expense is the teacher appreciation. We put a lot towards that. This year we're paying about $4,500 towards the monthly events and the big teacher appreciation.
And I will say that our teachers are center a lot of envy. This is a great PTC for leadership and the involvement. My wife again teaches at Summit, and they complain, and Ashley, her husband teaches at Summit, and they're like, "Where's our tailgate? Where's our coffee? You know, where's our ice cream?" So those types of things are fun for us to write about. But again, it doesn't happen without your own involvement.
I piggyback on that one.
Yeah.
So whenever we have volunteers from the Key Club that come over, the high school kids, several will do Summit, and they're like, Woodside always does all the fun stuff. We never got to dance, we never got to do this. So the kids really appreciate it.
For teacher grants, we just put $2,000 in there, but it's really, if you look, we spent $24,000 last year on teacher grants. The big one was the risers. So again, if teachers come with needs, the school or the district can't afford, we get step in and help with those. So it's whatever we make above what we thought we were going to, we can put that towards either next year's big asks or towards this year's big asks. So that's kind of the gist. I don't know if there are any questions.
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to?
Proceed.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the 25-26 budget as presented.
And a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
And if you do have any more interest, there's also included there the percentage of what, where the money's going. So if you are curious, it shows the percentage of our budget, what we're spending on, and the percentage of all items that are coming in for.
And just kind of educate in case you're not aware, I mean, the school is very limited in regards to what I can spend money on. You know, it is very closely regulated, and so things like risers, for example, that was a big purchase. She was just mentioning about, you know, we had choir risers for our stage, so the choir risers in the classroom were flat out dangerous, and so we were able to. I don't have $16,000 to spend on. I'm 17, so I think it's being on risers. You just don't. I mean, the curricular funds always get rolled into a big pot with the district every year. So whatever the school doesn't spend, there's no saving, okay? So like, why didn't he budget for that? Well, it doesn't necessarily work like that. Let's take one fund, for example, the student activity fund. I can't just save money in there and accumulate funds to make big purchases. Every year, anything we don't spend on student activity fund goes back to the district and it's repooled and reallocated. Okay, so when it comes to budgeting for big ticket items, it's nearly impossible. So that's why like the parent club and the partnership for those types of things is really, really helpful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As much as I try to spend all that money so other people don't get it at the end of the year, it's not enough to hit some of those big ticket items, and we're stretched pretty thin already just to make sure we got pencils and staplers, dry erase markers. So those things are kind of why we do that. The T-shirts is another example. We buy every kid a T-shirt, and they wear them to school, and it's fun to see them out in the community, and they pass them down. I've got some sixth graders that are wearing siblings T-shirts. We do that for that September 25th pep rally, and then that's the same day tailgate. That's a big day for us. We really want to instill school pride in kids, because they have pride in their school, and we want to put forth more effort.
Thank you all. Do you guys, anyone have any questions? Yeah.
I don't know if you had it here, but I am like the liaison to the people for the rich. So if you need someone like the person that always messages if you're close to the club, I can be that person. So you just close for me if you want.
We'll talk about that.
And then I start with this one, so I don't come to meetings anymore. But I want to be involved, or I can come for like the first half hour usually.
So that brings up a good point. I've tried, we have a lot of people who can't come to meetings. And, we talked about should we have them in the evening, should we have them during the day? And it seems like there's no perfect spot or time. I do send out a monthly email if you signed up to volunteer, and you'll receive that. And I try to hit on all the things that we talk about.
And also, if there are people who have not signed up yet through the Parent Square for the PTC tab, that's a good one to sign up to too. Certainly.
Yeah, it'll be in that.
Okay.
She is
not.
not.
Okay.
She said she was make it after all, so.
Yeah. Can I great. Plug arts and the lakes. I feel like I haven't seen as much about it.
I'm told it's coming out this week.
Okay, as, we did Read Under the Lights last September, and so Arts Under the Lights will be this year, and, the choirs are performing, the bands are performing, there's gonna be 3 different stages, and then we'll have classes again, and stuff, so.
It's a really cool community event. If we were not able to go last year, I really recommend it.
I was somebody did ask me, it was the highlight of the event last year for me, will people get to drive the bus with them?
I think so, yes.
Yes, I mean, that, if you guys did not get to do that last year, I am gonna just say.
Once you really miss the goal there.
I mean, they're trying to get new bus drivers, but, you actually get to drive the actual school bus around the parking lot, and it is so much fun. And one of my friends made like a little reel on it, and it was probably one of the best things I've ever seen in my life, of her driving the bus, but it's pretty fantastic, so I would encourage everybody. Go for all the other things, but also definitely go over and drive a school bus. It will give you a lot more respect for school bus drivers, and also it's what else do you get to do that? It's pretty cool.
I just have one more thing, because I told Jen I would do this, and the reimbursement.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for chairs of events. If you need to purchase something, we don't expect you to do that out of pocket. So if you need to make a purchase, usually I can make a purchase for you. But if you're at the store, you make a purchase, make sure you save that receipt, fill out a reimbursement form. It will be at this website right here. So on our website, it should have a reimbursement form. You'll just click through, it'll save it for me, but I do need documentation. So make
And you can
sure.
just attach it to that form.
Perfect. Yeah, you can
Upload
take a picture, you can scan it, whatever you need to. Make sure you save those receipts. I request that you don't just randomly make purchases and ask for stuff back. So let's make sure we clear it either with Jen or with me or. We we are also nonprofit, so we don't have to pay taxes on items. Most of the stores that you will go to, well, some of them already have our numbers on hand, right? So you get to say, hey, we're nonprofit, do you have Woodside paperwork, and then they'll make you tax-free, if you remember, hopefully.
Yeah, and if it's an
And,
Amazon purchase, I can purchase it with the debit card for the PTC and avoid the whole reimbursement, for you, it's not coming out of your pocket. So if there is something, you can request it directly.
Yep, and we can get you the papers for the tax-free, tax exemption if you need that prior to the store, if not the last minute. Right. Another thing I'm glad you talked about paperwork, is that, are you good with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you, and we'll try to send out a link to that or actually have it on the website for that paperwork. Also, just wanted to point out that if you are going to be volunteering in the school at all, you do have to have a background check on file. So Ashley gave me these to pass out for anybody who does need one as the school secretary. And they are good for 3 years, and if you have no idea when your last one was, please just let them fill it out. It's a matter of a few minutes and you'll be cleared.
How long does it take? And then do you get like notified that you have approved or?
That's a
Because I
great
told
question.
mine.
I don't think it takes very long.
Actually, it's pretty quick.
They never told me about that.
So I think you get informed if you're not.
Exactly.
Renewal that I do.
My husband got, okay, so they'll tell you if you get flagged, because my husband got flagged, and he has to get fingerprints done.
Oh,
To get approved, so you have to go to the police station and make an appointment, have your fingerprints done.
Otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise, you're fine.
Okay.
And he got approved, I'm telling you. Like,
So if you haven't lived in the state for a year, then I think you have to.
I didn't have to.
So there might be,
I didn't have to.
there might be, it says something about like, on the form it says if you haven't lived in the state for a year or something like that. So I lived in
They don't need. They always say they don't need my other state addresses.
All right, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to say meeting adjourned. And then before, thank you all, appreciate it.
Oh, actually, I do want to say, we have a little raffle for all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Nadia, do you want to draw one? Do the honors for yourself? It's her birthday. It's not very
Happy birthday.
Have a muffin.
It's her, she's a birthday.
Oh, that's me.
Jimmy John's sandwich.
Oh, I like sandwiches, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, is Gabby or Shannon? I'm winning all around.
I know. Sorry.
Sometimes I'll learn how to do it.
Yeah. And you know, that's actually a really good idea.
For the, management.
Okay.